Good morning and welcome to In Focus. I'm Claire Beverly. Each Sunday morning we meet right here and we talk about community news and information that's important to you. Our best ideas for this program come from you, and if you have an idea for a topic that you would like us to talk about at the end of the show, I'll give you some phone numbers and my email address and tell you the various ways you can get in touch with us. Of course, the easiest way is to just check our Facebook page. It's called In Focus, and there you can get links to get more information about what we talk about on the show, and you can send me a message directly. A little bit later, going to hear about the latest effort from Market to help raise awareness and money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. There are a lot of great ways that you can help Enmark help LLS, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, it's been more than 3 years since the Don Ryan Center for Innovation opened in Bluffton. Bluffton's business incubator, one of the first of its kind, developed here by Clemson University, and it has grown some amazing businesses that have brought jobs, money, and notice here to Bluffton and the Low Country. Here to tell us about the successes and how you can get help from the Don Ryan Center for Innovation, please welcome the Executive Director of the Don Ryan Center for Innovation, David Nelems. Good morning, David. Thank you so much for taking the time with us this morning on In Focus. It's a long time coming that we've been wanting to do a feature on the Don Ryan Center for Innovation here in Bluffton. Before we get started on what's going on, first give us a little bit of the background. What is the mission of the Don Ryan Center?
Well, Claire, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it. The mission of the Don Ryan Center is that we are a business incubator charged with growing Bluffton's and the surrounding region's economic base by helping develop small startup and innovative companies.
Among the description of the Don Ryan Center is that you are a public-private partnership. What does that mean, and who are all the players in that?
You know, it's funny, when I read that, I had no idea what a public-private partnership was either. I'm a private sector background guy before I came into government. You know, I now work for the town of Bluffton. But what it really means is there are a number of players involved. Some are in the private sector, some are in the public sector. So the Don Ryan Center is really a partnership from the town of Bluffton, Clemson University, and Evacor Healthcare. So these three entities came together to create the business incubator that is now the Don Ryan Center.
And why was it named for Don Ryan?
Well, it's interesting. Originally it was going to be called the Bluffton Technology Incubator. That's what our corporate papers read. And the gentleman that started Evacor, what is now Evacor, used to be called CareCore National. This big, large building, which is the largest private employer in Bluffton, used to be called CareCore National, and it's a healthcare services company. It was started by a man by the name of Don Ryan, who started it up in upstate New York with two partners, and he vacationed in Hilton Head. And one of the former mayors of Bluffton figured this out, that he was vacationing down here, but he was going back to work. So they recruited him to come down here and started and grow his company down here. But he was a big supporter of entrepreneurship and innovation. He bootstrapped this company, which is now a $1 billion plus company. And he was a big proponent of the incubator, so much so that our office space out in Evacor's headquarters is where his wife used to work. He actually kicked his wife out of the office to let us have space. And so he was a big proponent. And then he died unexpectedly when he was relatively young, early 60s. And so to honor his commitment and what he'd done for the town and what he'd done for the center, we changed it from the Bluffton Technology Incubator to the Don Ryan Center for Innovation.
How did this begin, and why Bluffton? Why was Bluffton chosen to be the incubator for Clemson's basically experiment in business incubation?
Well, you know, Clemson has a branch of their university that is charged with economic development. And they looked at the state of South Carolina and they said, you know, I'm paraphrasing here, but you know, the I-26 corridor with the Greenville, Spartanburg, Columbia, Charleston areas, they're doing fine economically and economic diversity. But the rest of the state, almost a circle around the state, is really rural, you know, in a lot of ways. And they decided that Clemson could come up with an incubator program, almost a franchise, if you will. I use that term very loosely, a franchise program, to seed these technology incubators around the state of South Carolina. And the goal was to partner with municipalities within the state to make that private-public partnership to put these incubators around the state. Interestingly enough, they were not even looking at the Low Country in Beaufort County when they were looking for municipalities to partner with. And they were looking at other areas. And a gentleman by the name of Larry Hughes, who lives down here in Bluffton and has a lot of ties to Clemson, heard about the program, said, hey, you guys need to come look at Bluffton. You know, come down here. Then Mayor Salka, who is a Clemson graduate and a great proponent for the town of Bluffton. Fantastic mayor. Heard about it. Once Mayor Salka gets on the cares about something, she's going to get it done. So actually, we ended up being the very first of the business incubators that Clemson started. So we are the oldest of the incubators. There are now 5 in the program, and they're really almost a circle around the state, but we're the oldest and been here about 3.5 years, and by far the most successful. So that's kind of how it started. It was started a kind of a franchise program, and we've kind of taken the basic recipe and added a lot to it based on our experience and what the Bluffton area needs and the surrounding region needs.
When you hear the word incubator, the image that comes to mind is a protective, supportive environment, literally fed when you think of chickens or children. What is a business incubator? In what ways are businesses supported, and who does this supporting and growing?
Well, it really is. We are kind of putting them in a protected environment. The reality is that most 80% plus of businesses don't exist for after 5 years. They fail. And so what we try to do is hedge the bet by giving them a lot of protection and a lot of help and support early on in the phase of these businesses, so they can be stronger and more successful faster, and they can outrun those statistics. We do this in a number of ways. Of course, we get a lot of support from Clemson. Clemson really acts as the research arm for the Don Ryan Center. So when I have a company come in that says, I need to figure out who my best customers are, or how to price this, or patent research, or market segmentation study, the team at Clemson can help us do that. So they really are a research arm. And it's great to have a research report come back, and Clemson has verified this, and it's not just something pulled off the internet. So that's one area of support. The other support we have is we're very much about building teams around these innovators, the companies that are in here. We call them innovators. And so I build a team around them, and it's composed of me, and it's composed of the Clemson team. It's composed of mentors in the area. As you well know, there are a lot of successful business people that have retired down here. They've realized, I can't play golf every single day. There are other things I want to do. And they often reach out to me to go, hey, I hear about what you're doing. I'd like to get involved. So I put them on these company teams. Sometimes they have specific industry experience for that company has. Otherwise, it's just general business experience. So we give that type of support with them, business advice, because you always look back at your life and go, if I only know, then what I know now. Well, that's what this gives, that experience. And in my case, I started a .com in the late 90s, and I learned all this the hard way, all these mistakes I made, and I try to give that experience to them so they don't make the mistakes. So we really put them in this protective environment so they can grow faster. Doesn't mean they're always going to be successful. Sometimes they fail. They may have failed faster, but at least, they've gone through the process faster. But most of them do very, very well.
How do you choose the businesses that you're going to incubate?
Well, as you might imagine, we get a lot of inquiries, and for all types of things. I've seen a lot of strange business ideas. I've seen a lot of great ones. And it used to be a pretty loose way to do it. People would just come and approach us, and they talk to me. We talk to them on the phone. If they sounded like, well, this is something we want to look into, I'd have them come in and talk to me. And I talked to Clemson about it, and we decided, is this the right fit for us? Are they the right fit for what we're trying to do? Are we the right fit for them? But beyond that, we really want to focus on certain industries and areas. I mean, nail salons and storage facilities and tire stores are all great. We all need those. But there's kind of a path for those companies. They kind of know what they need, and they don't really need a business incubator. What we're looking for are companies in fields like aerospace and green technologies and automotive and IT. But then we have kind of a general catch-all, just if it's a really innovative idea, regardless of where it happens to be from. We will look at those companies. And so what we do now is someone will approach us or talk to us on the phone or contact us via our website at donryancenter.com and say, I have this idea I'd like you to look at. So generally what happens is we'll call them first and kind of understand what they're really doing. Is there any traction yet? Is it what we call a clean sheet idea? Like, here's my idea I wrote down on a piece of paper, I want to get going. or I've done this for 6 months or a year, I'm trying to get better traction. So if it looks like they passed the first screening test, we'll bring them in, and now they actually pitch their event or pitch their idea to me and a group of people I have in what's called my pitch committee. I got about 10 to 15 business people from the region that I highly respect, that have a lot of great ideas, that look at things differently than I look at things. And they'll pitch to us. They get 15 minutes to pitch. It's kind of like a nice little Shark Tank. Right. We're not giving them money, and then based on that, we send them away. And I tell them, all right, you get to leave now. We're going to talk about you behind your back, and they go away. And then we talk about, is this the right fit for what we're looking for? Does this company have potential? Does it have traction? Is it going to create jobs in the region? And based on that, it really still comes down to my decision, but now I've got some other people helping me figure that out. And based on that, we decide to let them in or not let them in. It's a 12 to 18-month program, and we work with about 8 companies at a time. So it's very exclusive, if you will.
Tell us a few of the success stories.
Well, luckily, we have a lot of success stories. Our first graduate was a company called Nutrifusion, which is now down on Hilton Head Island. And they make a nutritional supplement that is put in, that's basically they take fruits and vegetables and pulverize them into a powder and put that additive in all types of foods. So it's in pasta, it's in Girl Scout cookies, it's in nacho chips, it's all over the place now, because it has been independently verified by MUSC to reduce oxidation and free radicals. And you read the report about what this technology or what this product does, and it's just a wonder product. So it's everywhere. So they're doing really, really well. Multi-million-dollar company by now down on the island that was just in its very early stages when the Don Ryan Center came with them.
What did you do for them? Without spilling their secrets, at what point were they when they came to you?
Well, they were still very early on in the whole process of trying to figure out who is our. They had the idea that, and they were doing it, but they didn't have any verification. Is this really working? So we got them with MUSC, and because you don't want to, you're not going to trust the company that much. The company says yes, it works. You want independent verification. So we got MUSC involved in that. And we help them with the marketing and the idea of how this works and who you need to target and that type of thing for their customer base.
Tell us another one.
There's another company called Gesture Communications down in Old Town Bluffton. Jerry Gesture is a graduate of Savannah College of Art and Design, just a good old Southern boy, and with a great eye for design. And his company, Gesture Communications, has come up with this iPad-based sales and marketing application platform. So, for example, boat dealers can use it as type of a digital brochure to show different boats and things. But it also tracks on the back end all the sales support, like how many people sold this, how many boats did Bob sell, how many did John or Diane sell, that type of thing, what options. And so there's a whole back end to it. So that makes it a very beneficial marketing tool, but it's really just an iPad app customized for each manufacturer. So I think Jared has probably 70% of the marine industry using this application. He's getting heavily now into the agricultural space with those types of machines, and it's really expanding to all types of products now.
So in those two examples, once they graduated from your program and were successful out here in the world, are there opportunities for them to come back and get tune-ups from you? Do you keep an eye on the graduates, in other words?
We do. We always have, we say that once you're a member of the Don Ryan family, you're always welcome to come back. We sometimes have companies that come back and need a little extra advice from us, or sometimes we'll throw something up to Clemson, a little fine-tuning, things like that. So they're always part of the family. And I stay in touch with all of them. We have a good relationship with all of them. So, it's not like you graduate and you're done. You graduate and you're ready to go. Now you're ready to learn even more. But sometimes you need a little bit of tune-up, and we are actually thinking about offering maybe I don't know if it's going to be called yet, but a tune-up type of program that for maybe businesses even beyond the Don Ryan Center graduates that have been in business 3 to 5 years and may have kind of plateaued, and figure out, all right, how do you get beyond that plateau? So we're evolving beyond just what we started doing as helping startup companies.
Our guest this morning is David Nelems. He's the executive director of the Don Ryan Center for Innovation. It's Bluffton's business incubator, a public-private partnership with Clemson University, a local business, and the town of Bluffton in order to encourage business growth here in the Low Country and throughout the region. David, you alluded before that not every business that comes to the incubator is successful. Give us some, you don't have to name names, obviously, but give us some examples of those and what didn't work and what did you at the Don Ryan Center learn from those?
Well, you're right. Not every business that comes through is successful. I guess the saving grace is if they're going to fail, they're going to fail faster for less money. We're going to accelerate the process either way. It's usually good. Sometimes it's not. And we've had a few that didn't graduate, that didn't go through, and usually it tracks to they hadn't really thought through the idea well enough. And we can make suggestions. So maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do this. And it usually, Claire, comes down to the innovators not really listening to what the market or listening to what the mentors or Clemson or the team is telling them by saying, no, I'm going to go this way, and everyone else is saying, no, don't go that way. Don't go down that road. Now, sometimes that can be a strength to say, no, I believe in what I'm doing, but it can also be, you're going down the wrong road. And usually when we have a failure, it's because of something like that. They didn't listen to our advice, or as often, and it's not, there's been a lot of them, people get in here and realize it's really hard to start your own business. I mean, even with the support the incubator gives, it takes a while. It takes a couple of years to really get something going. And it's harder than people think. It's not like, oh, I had this idea, everybody's going to beat a path to my doorstep. So sometimes they just realize I've bitten off more than I can chew.
For a lot of folks listening, they might think, well, this is a swell idea and great for those businesses, but what's in it for us? So what is in it for us? What has been the local impact of the Don Ryan Center? And then regionally as well, you mentioned before that when Clemson was looking to put this incubator, one of the things that was attractive about this area was its location toward more rural areas. So has this been a benefit for Jasper County, Ridgeland, Hardeeville, and maybe even into parts of the Savannah-Chatham County area?
Right now, on the regional sense, it's primarily benefiting Beaufort County. Now, stop and think for a second. This is really financed primarily through the town of Bluffton and private support. I work for the town of Bluffton, and I've got to give kudos to the town Mayor Salka and the council, because they realize that nothing happens in a vacuum. Even though we're in Bluffton and we want Bluffton businesses to grow, I have companies in here that are on Hilton Head, that are in Port Royal, that are in Ridgeland, not even in Beaufort County sometimes. But we take the longer view as what is good for some of us, or part of us, or good for all of us. It's good for the region. One of the things I say all the time is I don't care what side of what river or what bridge you're on, and that includes Savannah all the way up, Hampton County and all that area up there, because you may have a company that's based in Hilton Head, but maybe the workers live in Bluffton. They pay Bluffton taxes. They go to shop in Bluffton stores, or vice versa. So it's been a tremendous impact. If you look at just the bottom line numbers, the companies we have graduated and worked with so far, and this we do a survey every year. We do it in May. So these are the numbers I'm going to tell you from 11 months ago. These companies we worked with have hired 77 people, creating $4.1 million in annual payroll. And all that's really in Beaufort County. So I haven't done it again for this year, so I expect those numbers are going to go up. So it's having a financial impact. But the other thing it's doing, again, because we reach across all these rivers and bridges and things like that, and we don't think Bluffton-centric, we think regionally, is we're pulling in organizations like the Savannah College of Art and Design. We're working with them. We're working very heavily with Beaufort County schools. We do a Shark Tank pitch competition for them, where all the high schools come down here and they pitch for us, and the winner gets a couple of weeks in the Don Ryan Center for advice. So we're engaging the schools. I speak to schools all the time. We're working with USCB. We're starting to work more with TCL. And what we're really trying to do at a local and a regional level is encourage innovation and entrepreneurship in the mindset of everybody, from kids all the way up to people that are 60, 70 years old.
So, as a Center for Innovation, there must be a sense of wanting to innovate yourself as well. Are there any future different plans for the Don Ryan Center?
Well, the great thing is, we're a little more than 3 years old, and we've had a lot of success, and people now know who we are. One of our companies that graduated just was written up in Forbes about their technology for virtual reality. Another one of our companies that uses automotive data just got a partnership with NADA to pass that data on to them. So the companies are doing well, and the Don Ryan Center, which really in a way is a startup of its own, is doing well. More people know about who we are. More organizations want to partner with us. One of the most exciting things is we are in a 1,600 square foot facility in Evacor's headquarters now. But this time next year, we're going to be in almost a 4,000 square foot building in the new Kroger Marketplace area they're building out here at Buckwalter Place. And it's going to be a beautiful area. We may have some co-working space available, hoping to have high-grade gigabit internet speed. And so it's really going to be a great place. It's going to be a great environment. And we're really looking forward to that because I think that physical space and is really going to encourage innovation and awareness. People can just come in and rent a space for the day, and even if they're not in the program, they can still use some of the program resources, and that's going to help all of us.
So for an entrepreneur listening right now who is interested in getting help from the Don Ryan Center for Innovation, how can they contact you? What do they need to do, and what should they already have prepared?
Well, there are a number of ways, Claire. They can call us on our phone at 843-540-0405. Or they can go to donryancenter.com and they can fill out a form. There's a little message component where they can just give us information about what they're doing. So however they want to get a hold of us, tell us what you're doing. And we really want, even though I talked earlier about clean sheet ideas, we really want something beyond a clean sheet idea. We want something you've put a little effort and a little sweat equity, maybe even a little money into. Money is always an issue. How much traction have you got? Doesn't mean we won't help you if it's a great idea and it's a clean sheet, but we want to see a little bit of thought into it. We'd love to see a business plan. That's not necessary, but we'd love to see that you've put some effort and research into it. It's not just, I had this great idea, help me turn it into something. I've had this great idea, I've done X, Y, and Z, I've sold this many, or I've got this much interest or whatever. Help me figure out how to grow this even further. We want to see a little more effort than just, I have an idea.
David, is there anything we haven't talked about this morning that you'd like us to think about?
Anyone that lives in Bluffton, the region, knows that Bluffton is really doing a lot of stuff. There's a lot going on out here. And we just want to encourage that idea that if you have a business idea or something you want to do, innovation, entrepreneurship, we just want you to know we're here for you. It doesn't mean we can always help you specifically and put you in the program, but if you come to me and you do have a nail salon or a tire store or whatever, and I can't help you for whatever reason or it's not the right fit, I'm going to point you in the right direction for other people to help you. I want Mayor Salka, Town Council, Town Manager Mark Orlando, my board, Matt Green, Chairman, want everybody's business to grow, whether we help them specifically or not. And that's really what I want people to know, is that we are here to help businesses grow and thrive.
David Nelems, the Executive Director of the Don Ryan Center for Innovation in Bluffton. Thank you so much for your time, and have a good weekend.
Thank you, Claire. You too.
That's our program for today. I hope that you've enjoyed it. If you have an idea for a topic that you would like us to talk about on In Focus, in Georgia, call 912-351-9830. In South Carolina, call 843-785-9569. You can send me an email directly. My name is Claire Beverly, and the address is claire.beverly@alphamediausa.com. If you're here at the station, you can ask to fill out a form anonymously, or the easiest way is to just like our Facebook page. It's called In Focus, and there you can see links to get more information about what we talk about on the show, and you can send me a message directly. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Claire Beverly. We'll see you next Sunday morning right here on In Focus.